Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Just want to welcome everyone to the Primetime Power Show, the coaching companion. How are you this evening, Miss Congo?
I am well. I'm well. Thank you. How are you?
I am wonderful, and thank you so much for joining me tonight. So I want to just dive right in and start talking. I was going through your various websites and, looking at some of the wonderful things you're doing. The first thing I want to ask you is the Miss Congo Foundation. Can you tell me what influenced you to start this foundation?
Yeah, definitely. I was Miss Congo USA back in 2005, and my platform was to basically help the children from my country because we share a lot of the same stories. Unfortunately, a lot of the street kids that are roaming the streets of Kinshasa in the Democratic Republic of Congo they're victims of rape and abuse from their own family members. So when I joined the pageant, my goal was to always one day give back to those kids. And unfortunately, some of them are orphans. So once I won the pageant, I just had to go with my platform and start helping my people.
Wonderful, wonderful. That's great. Did you receive, while you were going through this pageant, did you receive a lot of support from the people in your country while you were going through that process and competing? Did you receive the support that was essential to propel you into the Miss Congo Foundation?
Not much. I mean, the pageant was here and, it was Miss Congo USA. So, and back then, I wasn't so much into the community as I am now. A friend of mine actually kind of forced me to join. I was very shy. I wasn't trying to be a part of it. But afterwards, after I had won the pageant, that's when I, started receiving a lot of support from the community.
Okay. And you said, I liked what you said, you were shy and then someone, encouraged you to do this, to do the pageant. Why that? Why a pageant? You said you were shy, and definitely with a pageant, you are in the spotlight.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. I mean, I came to the U.S. I was like about 10 years old or so. So my mother was very strict. So it was school, and nothing else. So at school, I did some modeling and other sports. But a friend of mine who was already in a pageant wanted me to be going with her. So she kind of just forced me to join. And it was like we would just go after school. We would sneak after school to go there. And for me, it was just like, all right, fine, I'm just going to support my friend. But then when I got, to the program and, I felt ugly. I felt like I couldn't beat anyone. I mean, these girls were like the typical social, when it comes to the society terms of beauty, if you know what I mean. So I felt like I wasn't like that. So, I really had no confidence, but I was just being myself. So even when it came to the stuff to wear, my friend had to borrow things from her older sister for me to wear. I was hiding this from my family, and my mom didn't even know because I knew she was so strict. She was not going to let me do it. But I think just being myself and answering whatever the questions the judges were asking me, I guess I ended up winning.
Wonderful. That's a great story. And I was listening to what you were saying about your mother being school, and very strict. I can relate to some of that. Maybe it was more my father who was that way. But eventually, when she did find out, what was her response? Was she more embracing of it then once she found out and she saw, hey, my daughter has these talents. Wow, my daughter has these skills. I'm just curious, what was the outcome?
Yeah. My mother found out years later. She found out, I think I was already like 18 or 20 or something like that. Again, my mother, we migrated here from Congo, and just coming to America was not easy. So a lot of immigrant parents, because it's so hard financially, emotionally, spiritually, in any alley there is just really hard. When we get here, we have no room to play. We have to get that education. We have to use that opportunity of free education that, the U.S. offers us, because in Africa, in a lot of African countries, especially in mine, elementary school is not free, middle school is not free, high school is not free. We have to pay for that. So us being here and being able to go to elementary or middle school and being able to study without paying monthly or whatever fees those are. So my mother was very strict, and she was a single mother raising my sister and I. So it wasn't gonna fly by her. So she didn't learn this until I actually moved out of house. I remember one time I actually had like a little competition. It was like a spring break, and I kind of lied to her about this competition that I was gonna go to. So I ran out of school, and I think it was like my 12th 12th grade year of high school. I came back home. She kicked me out the house. That's how strict my mother was. So I could not tell her. So I didn't tell her until I moved out of her house and I think I was either in a dorm or I had my own apartment. That's when she found out.
Oh wow! So you had mustered up some courage by that point to just say,
"Oh yeah." Even so now she's like, "I don't remember them." I'm like, "Yeah, of course not, because you wouldn't allow me to do it." I kept it a secret.
Right. Wow, that's a powerful story. But I'm glad you were able to achieve so much from the pageant, and it opened up doors to bring about the Miss Congo Foundation. So let me ask you a little more about that. How long has the Miss Congo Foundation been in existence? Since 2005, since you won the pageant?
Since 2009. Since 2009. That's really when I started working towards the foundation. 2005, again, I'm like 15, right, at the time. So you could kind of tell my age. I'm 31 now. I'm going to be 32 in April. So I was 15 years old, young. And so, I was doing a lot of, just help within the community, within my school. But until 2009, when I started, kind of really kind of growing into myself and kind of figuring out how I wanted to proceed with the foundation and what exactly I wanted to do and things like that. So that's kind of when, the foundation really started, and I started doing a lot of things locally and trying to, collect a lot. I started just collecting a lot of donations and stuff like that, trying to figure out how to send it back home. So 2009, that's really when I started.
Okay. And so you said that you went and collect donations. Were there some primary places that you went to, like you went to this particular place because you knew that person would give, or did you just try everywhere?
Oh, yeah, no, I just tried everywhere. I mean, friends, family, there's always people trashing baby stuff, trashing, clothes that they haven't worn in years. So it was just friends and families and co-workers at the time. And I was just collect and tell them about my foundation, what I was trying to do. And that's really how I started collecting a whole bunch of stuff. And then eventually figuring out, okay, how do I get it back in Africa? How do I get it to those people in need?
Wonderful. Mm-hmm. And the name, Miss Congo, how did you come about that name? Were you just toying around with different ideas, looking at your country?
Yeah.
How did you come about with the name?
Well, it was easy because I was Miss Congo, USA. So a lot of people, especially in the community, my friends, would just call me Miss Congo. And so when I thought about my foundation, I wanted to keep my title alive. I wanted people to be curious when they ask me, oh, what is the Miss Congo Foundation? And I can kind of talk about the history behind it and the pageant. So I wanted everyone to know that I am representing Congo. It is the Miss Congo, because when you're a pageant winner, you have to represent your country. You got to represent your people, right? You got to have a platform. So, Miss Congo is just, this woman who's fighting for her country. And with the pageant, that's just how I came up with it.
Great. And I like how, despite the situation within your country with the children, and just some of the struggles and the trials that they go through, that you still wanted to name your organization after your country. I think that's powerful, because that shows that you had hope that things could get better. Possibly is that what it is?
Yeah, definitely. I'm very proud of Congo. I love my country. I love the fact that I was born there, that I'm from there. We have a beautiful culture. It's a beautiful country. Unfortunately, Congo is just one of the other countries in Africa, in the world, that still has a lot of tragic things happening to children, to women, to minorities all over. So, and that's a constant battle that we're still battling, that we're still fighting. There are constant different orphanage, different organizations around the world that helps situation like that. Just because of that situation wouldn't make me ashamed of my country or not represent my country the way I should, because it is a powerful country. Congo has a big history. If any of you guys listening want to just look up the history of Congo, you will understand humankind. You'll understand why this country is still being battled to this day. It's a powerful country. It's rich in every way or form. Unfortunately, we're just being fought left and right. But I do have faith that Congo will become a safer place for women and children. Right now, we're still fighting. We're still battling. We're still looking for a better way. And that's why my foundation can't give up, and that's why I created a clothing store where 50% of everything we sell goes back to the foundation so that we can keep helping the foundation, helping our orphans, and helping those street children of Kinshasa.
Right, right. Wow. I love that you said you have pride in your country. When I think about being here, being a U.S. citizen, oftentimes when I hear other people talking about living here, there's not that richness, that pride that you express. And, I love hearing that because, like I said, a lot of people that live here, although we're grateful and we're thankful to be U.S. citizens, a lot of times you don't hear us talk about being necessarily proud of being Americans. And it's just so refreshing to hear someone else that despite those challenges, despite some of the things in your country that are unpleasant, you still have that within you, and that's wonderful. That's great. Yes, and going back to your foundation, you talked about that you went to friends and families to get monies and different things from them in terms of being able to send that back to your country. Were there other than monetary money and clothing? Were there anything else that you were interested in obtaining to send back to your country?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still getting a lot of hygiene essentials, medical essentials, medicine, for children, for adults, even, protection, when it comes to, unfortunately, sexuality activities and things like that, because unfortunately, these children on the street, they're in danger, they're constantly being raped on the street, sleeping on the street, and some of them are becoming, what's the better word? I don't want to say hookers or anything like that, but, that's what they're becoming. So, we want to help as much as we can because, we want to help the whole world, but we can't help the whole world. But I believe helping one person can help that person's world. So we try as much as we can to help in every aspect, whether it's medicine, whether it's hygiene necessities, whether it's, protections and just different things that the daily things that they need. That's what we collect. A lot of them, I've had a couple jobs where I have one job just supporting that and just buying a whole bunch of them and creating a container so that we can eventually send back. So just, it's really any and everything. There's nothing off limit because whatever that they can't use, they're going to sell it to make money so they can use it. So it's really a lot. Yeah.
Okay. And so with, you sending these medical supplies, you're sending clothing, you're sending monies. Do you feel oftentimes that it would be better if you were there face to face?
Oh, yeah. I've gone there several times. The first time I went back was in 2016.
Nice.
I went back and I went back again 2019. My goal was to go back every year. Of course, when I first started, it was tough to kind of go back. I was still in college, trying to, kind of, maneuver with everything. But my goal was to be going back every year. Unfortunately, the pandemic happened. I was going to go back 2020. Couldn't do it last year. This year, I probably won't go just because, with the pandemic, it's just tough. And unfortunately, in Congo, last year it got worse. So I will go back once, when things get a bit safer, then probably I'll go again. But unfortunately, I went in 2019 and I was going to go back right after that. And the pandemic hit and I couldn't go. But I do go. And when I go, that's when I get the most motivation to keep doing what I'm doing. Yeah. Because every time I walk around on the streets and I'm talking to an abandoned child and I hear their stories, I always cry because it matches to mine, because I was there. I was them. I didn't come from a poor family, but the people that raised me didn't protect me. So I went through rape. I went through abuse. I ran away from home. So, and fortunately, my mother was here. She didn't give up on me and she fought for us to join her in America to give us a better life. And I'm proud to be a Congolese American. But at the same time, I remember where I come from. I remember the pain to feel abandoned by your own family, to feel unloved, to be called a sorceress. And a lot of those children, unfortunately, till this day, are going through the same exact thing, if not worse, of what I went through. So when I go back and come back here, it always gives me 10 times more force to just want to keep on pushing and keep on doing what I'm doing and, hopefully even get big than where we are.
Yes. And that's good that you're sort of the advocate or the voice for those children. And they need somebody to be behind them. And that's great that's what you are. That's what you're doing for them. And I'm sure that encourages them and that motivates them when they see that you're someone who's living in America, but you still remember where you came from and you go back there and you reconnect with them. I'm sure that touches them so much. And going off of that, with your organization, the Miss Congo Foundation, was there any opposition from the DRC DRC government when you started it?
Oh, no, none. I actually think that the government likes it when we have foundation that's willing to go back and help and assist. The only unfortunate part is that it is hard to go there and establish a business there or establish whatever organization that you're doing there. Even if you're a nonprofit, they still charge you taxes. They still charge you. If you ship things there, they charge you the custom. Even when you're a nonprofit, they still charge you. So that's the downfall that I'm hoping and praying that one day it gets better. Because if I'm a nonprofit, all I'm doing is bringing good for the people of the country that need it. You should not be charging me, for bringing in what the people need. So again, there's a lot of work that needs to be done on that part. So that's the only part that's a bit tough. But other than that, the government do, I guess, like it when, the country gets help like that. But they're just not doing a great job at facilitating organizations like mine to actually be able to do our job, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. And it's interesting because you said the government is pleased with what you're doing. However, they're not taking any action steps to stop what's happening. Or are they? But it's just like an underground situation with the children with being raped and, being orphans. I mean, the government is happy of someone, people like yourself, but what are they doing on their end? Because, on some level you're one person, but they're a mighty force as well, which can probably put some sort of rules or, legislation in place to stop what's happening. What is your view on that?
I mean, yeah, definitely. See, I don't like to get too much into the government or when it comes to Africa or Congo because it's just a different ball game. I mean, there is a lot of organizations and orphanages and in the Congo. Let me just speak for my country alone. There are some of them work because they do things under the table. Some of them, there's a lot that goes on. And unfortunately, it's just the way it is. I wish it could be different. I wish that they can do things the legal way. They can do things the correct way. But unfortunately, our government back home is just not that. To not get so deep into it. I don't like to get get into government things when it comes to that because you can't get in trouble. But unfortunately, all I could say is they're just not that, and I wish they could get better. I wish there's a program where again they facilitate us to do what we got to do when it comes to help. I mean, one time we were even shipping things to a well-known orphanage, and the orphanage basically told me, well, don't ship that because if you ship that, it's going to cost us $20,000 to take it out of customs. And it's like, how is an orphanage going to spend $20,000 to take, these were medical devices to take it out when they need that money to feed these children. You know what I mean?
Of course.
So unless like a governor or somebody powerful that can go there and help you out and you maybe give them $5,000. So there's a lot of corruption. There's a lot of things that happen. Everybody wants to eat off of everyone, unfortunately. And it's sad because even when I'm in the Congo, the population, the people themselves, they look at those street kids like demons. They look at them like, oh no, don't help them. Don't do that. Those kids are bad. But, they just abandon them. That part of the culture I'm not so proud of because they're so quick to reject people and just want to stone them, and those are the kids that grow up with so much scar and they become rebels. They become, we call them kuluna in Congo. They become, those street kids that are just doing bad things and harming people because they grew up with knowing nothing but hate. People showed hate towards them. So that's all they have. So it's unfortunate that we are not building anything with, with mistreating our children. We're actually building, we're building monsters. So, and that's the sad part of it all.
Wow. Speaking of the children, is there any outlet for them? You said they're building monsters there, and the children are they're hurt. So of course they're responding. They're acting out in a response to their hurt and their pain. Is there an outlet for them? Is there some place? I mean, I know the Miss Congo Foundation is providing outlets, but are there other resources or places or people that they can go to talk about these things, to address them, where they can get some things off their chest and just talk things out? Yeah. Are there any outlets like that?
To be quite honest, that's a good question, and I'm glad you asked that. Do I think there's an outlet for like a psychology or psychiatry or any counseling or help? No, the only thing that's really there is the church. So,
Wonderful.
you know, the ones that have access to the church, or have, you know, or if there's a church that is willing to help those kids. Some churches do help out, you know, abandoned people and things like that. But I don't know of so much of them. And this is why one of our projects that we're currently working on is building a campus, building a school, and building, we call it the Miss Congo House, where it's going to be a campus for women, for the girls and the boys separately. And within our campus, we're going to provide counseling. We're going to provide pastors. We're going to provide physical, emotional counseling. We're going to provide kind of that psychology counseling that they all need. Because when you're getting kids that are coming from the streets, that are coming from abandonment, you know, I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a licensed counselor for me to really speak so much into them. And one thing that we were going to start doing in 2020 was that I actually have a group of doctors that I was going to work with from Project Give Hope, that we were going to go. They were going to come to Congo with me, and we were going to do this every year, where we're providing, you know, Medicare, we're providing counseling, we're providing help as far as in the medical field and things like that. So those are things that we want to do yearly. And of course, also once we're done building our Miss Congo house, then we'll be able to have a little more of that. And that's one of the biggest projects that we are working on. So, I mean, that's all I can say as far as that. That's what we, you know, we hope to bring. And when I go back, I try to have sessions with them and just talk to them about my life, at least teach them to not give hope, to not give up on themselves, to have confidence in themselves, because God don't take you so far to leave you hanging. So I'm not a counselor, but I just try to speak with them about my story and my life, and, you know, hopefully try to motivate them into getting out of it, or, you know, doing whatever it is that they can, I guess, succeed from, or, you know what I mean? I mean, there's a couple that need money too. They started some side hustles and things like that. And sometimes they'll send me, you know, pictures like, hey, I'm cleaning, I have a shoe cleaning business, or I have a street car wash business. So whatever it is that can get you out of that particular misery and give you a sense of life, and not just feel abandoned, but feel like, you know what, someone does care for us. The world doesn't end here.
Yes, that's good. And oftentimes the stories that we have, the stories that we carry are so powerful. They can compel others to act, to move forward, and to be motivated. So that's great. Your story alone is probably touching so many of their lives, just hearing and knowing that you were there and that you understand. You know, they look at you and they probably admire you for, you know, breaking free from that situation and being someone who can come back to the country and instill hope in them. That's wonderful. And then speaking of the Miss Congo house, obviously that's going to take several other hands, people involved. And when I was looking at your website, I saw that you have several other people that are working with you with the Miss Congo Foundation, and some of them are from your country. Were their beginnings similar to yours? Could you tell me a little bit about some of those individuals that are working alongside you? And again, were their beginnings similar to yours?
No, not necessarily. You know, we all come from different paths. You know, that's just my path. That's what I came from. Some of them were born there and raised in a different country and then ended up in America. So no, we all have different paths, but everyone has been through some type of strategy, some type of pain, I guess.
Yes. Okay.
That, you know, and you know, for example, one of my president of the foundation, also my sister from another mother, she, you know, she just has love for children. You know, she just loves giving back, period. You know, she didn't come from such a tragic you know, past or anything like that, but, you know, her heart goes out to the people back home. And, you know, it really just takes it takes the will, right? Someone has to be willing to want to be involved with this type of work. You know, you don't have to have gone through through pain for you to be willing to help someone else. You know, it's just, you just have to want to have love for humanity. You know, for other humans, to have a heart, and you know, and if that's what God is pushing you to do, then you would do it without anyone to even, you know, ask for help.
Wow, that's powerful. Okay, Miss Congo. So what we're going to do now is we're going to end this part of the interview, and we're going to come back and we're going to talk more about your boutique. I want to talk also about the future of the Miss Congo Foundation, as well as some of the influences in your life when we come back from break.
Awesome, great.
Okay, we are back with Miss Congo, and what we're going to focus on now is going to look at her boutique. So I see that your boutique, exclusive, I love the name and I love the spelling. I wanted to say that's really creative. You mentioned earlier, and I was going to touch upon that your boutique, or you donate 50% of your profit to the Miss Congo Foundation. So what I wanted to ask you is, what compelled you to use fashion as an avenue to raise money for the Miss Congo Foundation?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. Well, first of all, I like to think of myself as a fashionista. I love fashion. I used to model. I had a modeling agency where I was actually representing models and things like that, and hosting a lot of fashion shows. I still do that once in a while, but I've been focused more on my foundation. So Exclusive actually was born from the Miss Congo Foundation. So it is a part of the Miss Congo Foundation. And when the pandemic started, I started selling a lot of things online, doing drop shipping and things like that. And a lot of my customers will always ask about, if they could come in and try in and things like that. And when I relocate, I started looking into, getting an actual store. And when I relocated to the ATL area, it was kind of easy for me to find a store, and I did. And so basically, I wanted to have because it's so hard to raise funds on your own, to be very honest.
Yes.
A lot of the times I'm taking money from my own paycheck to help with the foundation. So I wanted to create a revenue stream that will be created solely for the foundation to help the foundation. So that's why 50% of the profit of Exclusive goes towards the foundation to help us keep the foundation alive, to keep, supporting the goals of the foundation. So that's why it's really there. And it's exclusive because what we sell is very unique. You will not find it elsewhere. We sell a lot of men and women fashion, high class fashion that is made in Turkey, made in Italy. So it's great materials. The quality is great. I mean, you will feel like $1,000,000 wearing an Exclusive outfit.
Wow, nice. And that's interesting. So you said they're from a lot of the clothing line is, based out of or from other countries like Turkey and Italy.
Yeah, that's why I have them made. Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. And a lot of your clients are some of them from those countries? Are most of them African-American?
They are American. It's a diversity. I mean, just in the store alone, I have a lot of Latinas and Latinos that come in. It's just a whole. I can't really just say it for one race or anything like that, because I have a mixture of people from Americans, Latinos, and just people from all over, Haitians. Like everybody just in the area comes in and try on stuff, and it's a lot of fun when people walk in. When they're trying on stuff, we serve them some wine, and they kind of get to have that elegant experience. Have a glass of wine, and we talk to them a little bit about the foundation and explain to them that whatever you buy today, just know that you are feeding an orphan, you are helping someone in need in the Congo.
That is great. And then I was thinking too, you were talking about fashion, and that's I'm assuming one of your passions. Yes.
Yeah. Yes, of course.
And so let me ask you this: the women in your country, in the Congo, do they ever express a desire to be involved with fashion? I mean, do some of their...
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Congo is one thing I love about Congo is that, okay, this is going to sound very tacky, okay?
Go ahead.
And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate because when you think about a Congolese person, you're thinking fashionista and can dance. Unfortunate. Although we have a whole bunch of great things that Congo has that we do that are so awesome, but the first couple of things when you think about Congo, that person can dress and that person can probably dance and sing. So, Congolese people were fashion people. We love fashion, especially in Congo. Most people wear European fashion. They wear the Yohji Yamamotos. They wear all those high class stuff. So Congo, when it comes to fashion, they don't play. That's something, when I go back there, I make sure my fashion is on point, because they're going to look at you like, you come from America looking like that. So they don't play. No, they don't play at all. And my mother and I also have a store in the Congo as well. That we have out there, which is great as well. Yeah.
Okay. Is your mother into fashion also, or she has her separate chain of what she does?
No, she is. She loves fashion. She's into fashion. My mother's a doctor. She has medical degrees, but she does that as well. She works, in one of the hospitals here in the ATL, but she loves fashion and everything about fashion. She's in there.
And I hear you talk of your mother often. We talked about her in the first part of the show, and now we're talking about her again. She seems like a strong force in your life, even though, again, you said she's very strict, school, school, school. She seems like one of your biggest supporters.
Oh yeah, my mother's my saving grace. I have two important women in my life: my grandmother, who's my guardian angel,
Yeah.
and my mother. Those are my role models, the people that I look up to. No, I'm not very happy that my mother was too strict, but I understand why she was too strict. I'm a mother now. I have a 4-year-old, and I get it. I get it. There's certain things, our mothers used to tell us when we were younger, you're not going to get it until you get older, right? Until you are put in that situation. So now being a mom myself, knowing that I have a responsibility of a whole human being, I definitely understand why she was that strict. I probably wouldn't be as strict with my kid because I don't want my kid to hide stuff from me. I want to know everything. So I do wish that, but I understand because my mom, my mother was raising us. She was young herself and she was in school. She was in medical school. And unfortunately, there were people talking down on my mom, even people in the family saying that, she brought these kids from Africa. She's not going to be able to raise them and all these comments. And unfortunately, sometimes the people that comment like that hurt you, it's people in your own family. So she had to be extra strict because she could not fail. And she did not fail because me and my sister, we are not billionaires, but we are doing very great. We're all stable. We all went to school and we're doing a lot better than maybe the people that talk about her raising us could ever imagine.
That's wonderful that you have that strong woman figure in your life to sort of be a guide for you. That's so important. And I love that you mentioned your grandmother too, because my grandmother was very important to me as well. So I know what that means to have your grandmother as your guardian. Is that what you call guardian angel?
My guardian angel, yeah. I mean, yes. I don't know where I would be without those two women. I mean, Maya, my mother's name is Maya Mbukapindu. My grandmother's name is Leonie. And, my grandmother, we ran from war in Congo together. She was holding my hands and praying while running, and there's guns blowing all over. So we've been through it, and when my mother left and came to the U.S., I've always been with my grandma. She was there protecting us. And until this day, she lives with me, helping me raise my daughter. So, I'm blessed.
Yes, you are, definitely. And one of my questions is, you already answered it, was, pretty much were there people or mentors in your life that walked alongside you in your life journey? And from what I'm hearing, your mother and your grandmother were two primary figures who did that. But was there anyone else who you would?
Oh, yes, of course. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, my mother and my grandmother, I didn't grow up with my father. I started a relationship with my father years later. It's funny, I met my father the day of my wedding when I was married. So that's when we met because he had to travel from Africa and things like that. So we're building a better relationship now. My stepfather, my mother's husband, Bona, he's a great man. That's my daddy right there. And he came into our lives and just picked up and became the dad that I never had, But I definitely have great people. I have a good friend of mine who has been kind of managing me as Miss Congo, helping me with my book that I've been writing. His name is Zinga Pedro. That's, he's one of my mentors. I mean, one of the people that's always encouraging me. He actually encouraged me to write my book and say, hey, you gotta put your story down. And those are one of the people that, you have those friends that have seen you struggle, have seen me go to school full time and have 2 full-time jobs and, trying to get that degree and trying to hustle. So Zinga's definitely been one of a great supporter of me. And I have great girlfriends too. They're my best friends, Elise, Fifi, Fanta, Mirabelle. Those are the girls. Basically grew up together and they've always been there to support me. So God's been good to me. I have a lot of people that probably don't like me, but I have a good circle of people that surrounds me and that are very supportive.
And that's all we really need is a circle of people, a circle of people around you to support you and to lift you up. And that's so important. Yeah, I completely relate and understand what you're talking about there. And then you mentioned the book, because I was going to get to that and ask you about the book.
Yeah.
Tell me about that process. I'm an author too, so I know there's definitely a process. And but what's different from your book, which is interesting, is I'm assuming it's about your life and the things that you've gone up against. How writing about those experiences. Tell me what that's like. Recalling those memories. Tell me what that.
I definitely will. And I forgot to mention one of my good friends, Sifa Love. She's my business partner, my sister. I don't want to forget her. But and she's been there from day one, just starting my store and everything. But as far as my book, yes, even now, because it's not published yet, I had to put it on hold for personal reasons. But hopefully, later this year, we'll start going back to the publishing section of everything. But to answer your questions, it was hard writing my book. The hardest part of it was when I started writing about my mother, and when I saw her again the first time when we came back. Not the first time we came to America, because when we came to America, we landed in New York, then went to Philly. I think we stayed in Philly for like a month, and then went to Buffalo, New York, where my mom lived. So because she was in school, she couldn't pick us up. So like family had to pick us up and then drop us, to her, and we had to kind of wait on their schedule. So there's a part of my book that talks about when I first encountered my mom and saw her. And every time I read that part, I get very emotional, because my book really, it is, it's called From Congo to America, by Laeticia Mabebu. And it says, I think the slogan says, a little girl's dream to find love. And for me was to find my mother again. Because I remember when she left Congo, I remember her telling me she's traveling to go buy me clothes. She didn't say she was traveling. She said she was going to buy me clothes. She's coming back. And she never came back. So just that process, and finally coming to America and meeting my mother again, that emotional part of it. In the book, I talk about how, I talk about what I want to tell my mother as I'm looking at her. Like, I want to tell her, why did you leave me? Why you didn't come back for me? So many questions. So whenever I read that part, I get very emotional. Like, I can't read that part without crying.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm sure, you asking her those questions, were you harboring some level of unforgiveness and anger? That's what I'm getting from those questions.
Yeah. And those are the questions that I never asked her. Those are the questions that were in my mind. For me, which I'm looking at my mom. I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, I just want to tell her this. And this is what I'm writing in my book, what I want to tell her. And to answer your question, yes, when I was younger, I did have a lot of anger towards my mother for several reasons. And you will find out more in the book when you read it, and maybe we'll have another conversation later about it. But I definitely was angry at my mom. I didn't know. There's a part in the book that I tell myself, I say, does she even know what happened to me? Does she know that I was raped? Does she know that I was abused? Does she know that I was going hungry for days? Does she even know this? And if she does, why did she allow that to happen? So when I was younger, I had some anger with me. And then I always felt like I was fighting for my mom's love. I felt like I did feel abandoned.
Right.
Yeah.
Almost children that you're trying to help, but on a different level. I mean, you weren't an orphan, but you did feel abandoned.
Yeah. Because I didn't have my father. I only knew my mom. So it was tough. Yeah.
Wow. That's powerful. I love the title, From Congo to America. And then you said the subtitle was A Little Girl's or a Girl's. What was the second part of the title?
And it's so funny. I feel horrible that I don't remember the exact subtitle. I believe it's A Little Girl's Journey to Find Her Mother. Something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
As the writer, I understand sometimes we have to put things down. And you mentioned, and I'm not going to probe, but you did mention, you had to stop it for personal reasons. And whatever those are, I get it. As a writer, sometimes we have to, I find that I have to distance myself from something, especially if it brings up emotions and things that I don't necessarily want to revisit. It can be hard. And I'm not saying that's what your reason was, but I'm just saying that as a writer, sometimes we do have to take a step back. And
I'm sorry. The slogan is A Little Girl's Journey to Find Peace. There you go. Yeah.
Little girls to find peace. Peace within or peace outward, or both, just in general.
Yeah, it's just from the DR Congo to America, a little girl's journey to find peace. And I think for me, that was peace within. I didn't have the peace. And even just going through my life, going through everything, even after finding my mom, and thinking that I do have some of that peace, then discovering that my dad is alive, that he's there. And then the first time my mother told me that they found him, the first time I spoke to him on the phone, just going through those moments made me feel unease. So, and my book goes from, just from Africa all the way to the time I was married to the time I, separated with my ex-husband. So it just kind of, it's a small book, but I just go straight in detail because I just want people, especially for the people that have been through what I've been through, and those kids back home, to just understand that, you go through so much in life. You should not let that break you. You should not let that, kind of push you away from your goals and your dream and whatever it is you want to accomplish in life. And we are all here for a reason. You are overcoming obstacles for a reason. So we should never give up on ourselves. And that's why I wanted the book to be kind of small and easy to read. It's a fast read, so you just understand the message and understand. And I feel like nowadays people don't spend as much time reading as we used to. Yeah. So I wanted it to be nice and sweet, just really highlighting the most significant parts of my life. And I could probably go more in details, but just being a little details about what happens, and basically just how you can come out of every situation better than came in.
Yes, and it's interesting because what you're talking about, the message of your book, it's pretty much talking about what the Miss Congo Foundation does, giving children hope to make them realize, what, you can overcome this. You can, you can walk out on the other side and be okay. And, it's just the message of the book encompasses, it seems like, what your foundation is about as well.
Yeah, you're right on point.
Well, Miss Congo, yes, if you can tell us, Miss Congo, where we can find you for our listeners tonight, website, social media platforms, where can we find out more about, the future of the Miss Congo Foundation, about the book, about who you are, your everything about you? Where can we find it?
Yeah, definitely. So as far as the Miss Congo Foundation, our website is www.mzcongo, so CONGO foundation.org, mzcongofoundation.org. Our IG page, Instagram page is just at mzcongo foundation. My personal page is just at mzcongo. My store, the boutique, which is born from the foundation, is called Exclusive. That's XELUZ as in zebra IV. On Instagram, we are at exclusive_official. The website is just exclusive.org. So those are the platforms where you can find me and learn more about the foundation, learn more about the store, and then learn more about myself, or if you want to get a hold of me.
Thank you so much, Ms. Congo. It's just been a joy speaking with you, learning about who you are, your organization, your boutique, and your future debut as an author. And I just want to thank you again for just sharing so much of who you are with us tonight on the Primetime Power Show.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.